Hi, good morning.
Morning.
My name is Frankie. Today, I will be with you from now until 1. The title of this forum workshop is Initiating the Practice of Knowledge Management to Achieve Breakthrough Performance. Now, what happens next is this. This is a half-day session, as I've indicated. Most important, it is going to be intensive and content-based. So what I've done is, at the end of the session today, I have allocated 30 minutes for questions and answer session. But however, if you have any compelling questions to raise during the course of my presentation, please feel free to do so. Okay, now, so what is the focus of this workshop? Answer: to develop key capabilities required to systematically manage critical knowledge. At the end of the workshop, we will provide you with the letter of participation. This workshop is designed for 2 categories of participants. One, the heads of company, and then secondly, the heads of human capital, including senior human capital professionals, and for larger organizations, knowledge strategists, and what we call as chief knowledge officers. Now, let's provide a quick overview of this forum workshop. First, there are 4 modules in this forum workshop. Now, first of all, module number 1 will take 25 minutes to complete. And module number 1 is really about talking about the correlationship between critical knowledge and breakthrough performance. And essentially, this is the introduction to the practice of knowledge management. Module number 2, I will take approximately 45 minutes to complete. Module 3, I will take 50 minutes to complete. And for module 2 and module 3, the main emphasis of these 2 modules are, firstly, to identify and to initiate the practice of knowledge management. And then secondly, to use the 7 knowledge tools to enable the practice of knowledge management. And then thirdly, in module number 2 and 3, what we will do is, we will identify the 4 categories of critical knowledge. So module 1, 2, and 3, once completed, we will have our refreshment break. When we come back from the refreshment break, what we will do is, we will zoom in on module number 4. And module 4, I will take 1 hour to complete for module 4. And module 4 focus on adopting a structured approach to implement the practice of knowledge management by using an implementation action plan. At the same time, we will also talk about the 4 key roles of the heads of company and the 4 key roles of the heads of human capital. And before we wrap up, we will then provide a description of the 16 specific benefits of initiating practice of knowledge management. Then of course, we will have our 30 minutes or so informal questions and answer session. Alright, now, so next, we will now start. Now, we will start module number 1. To begin with, what I will do is this. I will provide all of you a working definition on what knowledge is really all about. Okay, now in our mind, it goes like this. Knowledge includes 2 major components. 1, know what. Know what. Second, know how. Know what refers to what we know, refers to what we understand. Know how refers to what we do after we know. It refers to what we apply. And know what, in this case here, will start first, then followed by know how. And generally, know how is commonly known as skills in this case. Now, in the context of this forum workshop, our real concern really is focusing on working knowledge required to achieve performance goals, required to achieve key performance indicators. We are not talking about general knowledge. We are talking about working knowledge required to achieve performance goals. Now, the next slide will highlight to us what is critical knowledge. Okay, next, critical knowledge. You will see therefore that next one is holistic knowledge first. Alright, now, so here what happens will be the next slide will highlight to us holistic knowledge, and it goes like this. Now, first, knowledge can be subdivided, can be reclassified into tacit knowledge and explicit knowledge. It goes like this. Now, at this point, what happens is this: I am sharing knowledge. So tacit knowledge is stored in my mind. And so what happens now is this tacit knowledge in my mind is now shared, which means deposited in your mind. Tacit knowledge is known as invisible, intangible knowledge, stored in an individual mind. Next, what happens is this tacit knowledge, as I share, it now goes into your mind. What happens next is this: on your end over here, when you start to make notes, you are now translating the knowledge that you are acquiring into explicit knowledge. So tacit is invisible, intangible. Explicit, in this case over here, will be called codified, written knowledge, as given here. So we have gone through these two slides. So the next slide that focus will be on critical knowledge. Now, so what is therefore critical knowledge? And the story will start like this. To begin, it goes like this. First, when an individual starts to work in a new organization, this individual will first of all bring together with him his own entry-level knowledge. He will bring his own entry-level knowledge into the organization. Now, in this context, his entry-level knowledge potentially will include all his tacit and explicit knowledge that he has acquired over the years. Now, he's in the organization. Now, step number 2. What happened next? Step 2, when this person starts to work. On the other hand, what the company will do is to enable him to perform, to enable these new recruits to actually deliver results at the workplace. The company will provide this person with basic job knowledge. For example, tacit and explicit departmental policies, systems, and standard operating procedures will be given to the person to perform. And therefore, we know that basic job knowledge are provided by the organization. Now, so, what happened next? Now, this is what is going to happen next. While this person begin to deliver his work, which means while he begin to use this basic job knowledge, while he begin to deliver results while using this basic job knowledge, the individual, especially the more self-driven and proactive individual, will begin to develop his own critical knowledge. For example, what the individual will do is, while using the infrastructural knowledge, the individual will begin to develop his own lessons learned, derived from mistakes that he made. Or for instance, he will develop his own best practices. And eventually, all this critical knowledge will assist the person to achieve highly differentiated breakthrough performance. And eventually, this critical knowledge sitting on the infrastructural knowledge will assist the person to deliver sustainable, superior performance. So in summary, we know this. Infrastructural knowledge or basic job knowledge, these are provided to the individual by the company. But critical knowledge is developed by the individual himself. And that being the case, that's why in organization, certain individuals, especially those that are more self-driven, more proactive, always consistently register higher level of performance. So surely the head of company, the head of human capital, and for the matter, the heads of department will be extremely interested to ensure that this critical knowledge can be systematically distributed and shared to benefit the balance of all the employees in the organization. And so to the heads of department, surely he'll be absolutely interested to organize this critical knowledge so that the rest of the employees can have the ability to leverage, to capitalize on this critical knowledge. And this is the aim, the focus of this forum workshop. Now, more examples first. More examples of infrastructural knowledge. So as you can see, infrastructural knowledge is also known as basic job knowledge. And in this case, you can see it includes policies, guidelines, processes, standard operating procedures, forms, formats, etc. So, if a company say, we are an ISO certified company, then what the company is really saying is this, is that majority, a lot of our explicit infrastructural knowledge are documented as in accordance with the ISO requirement. That's what it means to say. Now, further illustration or examples of critical knowledge includes, in this case, lessons learned, developed by individuals, his own best practices, frequently occurring issues, questions or complaints that he raises, and the most preferred answers he provides all the time, innovative ideas, and the rest of them. And so based on this, it now brings us to an extremely important equation. And this important equation is this: there is a direct correlation between knowledge and performance. Now, firstly, as indicated earlier, basic job knowledge or infrastructure knowledge will what? Will assist a person to deliver basic or existing performance. But it is the critical knowledge sitting on the infrastructural knowledge that powers breakthrough performance. It is the critical knowledge that provides the highly differentiated, superior, sustainable performance. So in other words, if our real concern, if our concern is to ensure that we deliver sustainable, superior performance, if our concern is about achieving and exceeding key performance indicators in the organization, then managing this critical solution, this critical knowledge will actually be our real way forward. This is what we'll be looking towards here. Because why? Because we know that this particular critical knowledge is the platform to springboard performance in this case. Now, having said that, what I'm going to do next is I will now provide a working definition on what is practice of knowledge management, or in short, POKM. And it goes like this. Firstly, the practice of knowledge management is about developing, number one, what we call as 8 highly focused capabilities. Number 2, enabled by knowledge tools. Number 3, to systematically manage critical knowledge. And number 4, leading to breakthrough performance. Finally, guided by an implementation action plan. So, look at this. It goes like this on the board. First component in the practice of KM. First component, developing 8 highly focused capabilities. First component. Second component, these capabilities are enabled by knowledge tools. So, we have the capabilities, we have the enabling knowledge tools. We add both together. Purpose is to systematically manage critical knowledge. And component number 4, as a direct result of consistently managing critical knowledge, it leads to breakthrough performance. And these 4 components are then guided by an implementation action plan, which means to suggest to kickstart the practice of knowledge management, we will use a 6-month implementation action plan. I repeat, a 6-month implementation action plan, which means in a particular year, we may potentially use up to 2 implementation action plans. The focus is, like an engine, is just to kickstart the practice. So at some point in time, we will not have to use this action plan anymore once it gets internalized. Now, this is the working definition. So what I'm going to do now is I'll go to explain each one of these components, and after the components are explained, we will then integrate and put them together in module number 4 later to initiate or to start the practice of knowledge management journey. Alright, now, so next you will see, therefore, in this case, what happens would be this. So of course, this PowerPoint slides is exactly what I have already shown to you on this whiteboard. Now, at this point, it is critical that I would like to highlight 3 very important guiding statements. Statement number 1, the practice of knowledge management is not about technology. Statement 1. Statement number 2, to start the practice of knowledge management journey, we do not need to invest in technology, therefore. Statement number 3, to really make POKM journey work, we must equip ourselves with 8 highly focused capabilities to systematically manage critical knowledge. So these are the 3 statements. Now, having this, what do I do? What I will do next is, just before I provide a detailed explanation, elaboration on POKM, I will now provide all of you a direct comparison between practice of people management and the practice of knowledge management. This direct comparison will provide you with a much sharper perspective of what is POKM or practice of knowledge management are about. Now, we take it this way. The practice of people management is about getting things done. Getting things done through our subordinates by using specific managerial skills, like for example, delegation skills, organizing skills, coordination skills, etc. Now, so what happened is this. Firstly, after we as superiors have developed all these people management skills, the first thing we do is we will apply these skills on the subordinate. So essentially, what is happening is this. We will apply all these skills to constantly chase our staff to deliver results. Chase them to do so. That's what happens. So it's really amazing how many of us have invested so much time, so much efforts to chase people to get things done. And then, what happens? On the side of the subordinates, over the years, they begin to expect superior to chase them to perform. So it is like the bosses on top, the superior on top, believe that they are paid and their role is to chase the staff. And the staff on the other side, over a period of time, begin to expect, to do work, to get things done, the boss must chase me. So this chasing game has been around for a long, long time. So it's quite amazing how much time we have spent doing this. Now, at some point in time, the superior begin to realize this indeed is very tiring, not sustainable. And that's what he feels. And so as such being the case, therefore, this people chasing mindset must be reconfigured. This people chasing mindset must be re-engined, so to say. Alright? Now, because of this very fact over here, it now brings us to what is the practice of knowledge management in direct comparison to the picture, the scenario I have so created. Now, you will see therefore, in the practice of knowledge management, what happened is this. Instead of chasing people to deliver results, this is what happens. Level number one, for example, after all of us have completed this half-day forum workshop, what happens? Once we have developed these 8 highly focused capabilities to systematically manage critical knowledge, the first thing we do is not to apply these 8 knowledge skill sets on the subordinate. No. The first thing we must do is to apply them on ourselves first. Use these 8 knowledge skill sets on ourselves first. Level 1. Level 2. What happens next? When we start to apply on ourselves, we will begin to internalize this practice. When we start to gradually internalize this practice, then only we will begin to share, to coach our subordinates, our team members, or any interested party to gradually adopt this practice of knowledge management. Level number 3. What happens next? The subordinates, the team members will begin their own journey. to progressively adopt practice of knowledge management to deliver what we call as more sustainable performance. POKM, unlike practice of people chasing, POKM is actually what we call as a highly self-directed empowerment approach. It drives people gradually but surely to be more self-driven and more proactive to manage their own critical knowledge to achieve sustainable performance. That is the focus. Now, finally, before we end up this particular module, there are still two more summary points I want to leave behind for you to digest. Point number one. In an organization, human capital, this is very crucial. In an organization, human capital is not, I repeat, is not the real assets of the organization. Human capital is not the foundation of organizational excellence. It is the critical knowledge that is stored in the heads of the employees. It is this critical knowledge that are stored in heads of employees that are really the real asset of an organization. And there is something we have really to digest first. And then second summary point. In other words to say, an employee cannot be considered, an employee cannot be considered as a talent of an organization if the employee does not fundamentally have the capabilities to manage his own critical knowledge to deliver sustainable performance. And this is very, very crucial. Especially many companies today are always talking about talent management, talent development, developing a talent pool. So we always ask ourselves, what would be the basic ingredients to qualify a person to be a talent, besides the traditional indicators like, firstly, he must be performing over the last 3 years, or secondly, he must have aptitude, the potential to be upgraded, etc., etc. But if this person still needs the superior to chase him to perform, then how can he even be called a talent in this knowledge-based, innovation-driven economy? That's the bottom line. Right now, so with this, I've come to the end of Module 1 as a short introduction. What I'll proceed to do next would be, I will provide a more elaborated sharing on the 8 highly focused capabilities in the practice of knowledge management. Alright, so we end now Module number 1. Alright, so now